Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video I'd like to talk to you about one of the most interesting cases that we've seen in recent history, which is US Congress versus Big Tech. So what is this all about? So recently we have seen an antitrust case, so a case where the plaintiff, so in this case the US Congress, is stating that it has a lack of trust. And in this case towards Big Tech. So basically what US Congress is saying is that Big Tech is abusing its market power and is also violating good conduct with respect to privacy and ethics. And these are serious accusations, of course, for some of the biggest tech companies around the globe, and this led basically to a grilling in US Congress where the CEOs of these companies had to show up and had to answer all of the questions that came out of US Congress's research and basically the evidence that was collected. So massive stuff. Not the first time that this happens in US history. Actually in the past, there was this company called the Standard Oil Company, which was a massive US oil company, and there were serious question marks about whether this company was getting too big and too powerful. So it was so interesting that it got to the point where the Standard Oil Company had more influence and more say and more power in certain countries compared to the US government. And it was very interesting to read, and you can read the book about ExxonMobil where this is being explained in more detail. But there you see that it had better contacts with some of international governments, that it had even its own small army to protect, for example, oil businesses. Very interesting developments, and at that point US government decided that actually the Standard Oil Company was too big and too powerful, that it was harmful for competition, and with that for efficiency, and on top of that, that it became kind of a threat as well to the US government in terms of its size and power, that it should be split up. And that's what happened. And today's ExxonMobil is actually a manifestation, the result of the split up, because Exxon came out of course, the split up, then it bought some other of these companies, it grew, it consolidated, and that's only the ExxonMobil that we see today. So turning back to our case of Big Tech versus US Congress, so interestingly, all of these companies, big tech companies, they're not just having a product that they sell or a service. Interestingly, they're all platforms, and that's very important here. So a platform is like a stage on which other actors interact. So this can be a buyer and a seller. This can be like a content developer and someone who interacts with it. It can be all sorts of interactions. And concerns here are that these platforms are not managed well, that not everyone is treated equally, that fees are not the same to everyone, that not everyone has sufficient access to these platforms, and so on. And these are of course serious accusations. So Facebook has its Facebook website, and of course also has Instagram nowadays. Amazon has its website, but it also has Amazon Marketplace, on which like third parties can buy and sell, and also has Amazon Web Services, based on which other companies can operate their business through Amazon's cloud business. Then we have Apple, having its App Store. It has Apple TV Plus and all of these other, platforms on which you again can make use of the content there's on. Google has Android. It has, Google Play Store. It has YouTube and so on. So countless of platforms in the hands of these big tech companies. And now, let's have a look at the accusations, because they are massive. So Facebook was accused, first of all, of bullying Instagram back in the day. So when it wanted to buy Instagram, it was said that Facebook basically abused its market power because it was so big. It could say to Instagram that it would come after it and that it would bully and that it would actually engage in predatory practices if Instagram wouldn't sell itself. And the former Instagram CEO actually says that was the reason why it sold its business to Facebook. On top of this, there are accusations regarding Facebook not engaging in proper behavior with respect to advertisements, that it does not treat advertisers in a good and equally fair way. And on top of this, one of the biggest concerns, of course, with Facebook is that it's not doing sufficient stuff against hate speech on its platform, even though it has the power to do so, right? And of course, Facebook denies everything that's being said. It says that, Facebook actually was one of the most important players that made Instagram the success it is today. Says that there are also other platforms for advertisements, so nobody has to per se advertise on Facebook. Facebook is saying, is actually saying that Facebook has strong policies against hate speech. And there's actually a trend that we see also with the other companies. They are basically denying the allegations, the accusations, and saying that there's nothing to be worried about. So Google, same thing actually with Facebook regarding ads. It massively relies on ads, and Congress actually is saying that Google's abusing its market power here, that it is actually cheaply buying ad space and then selling this ad space for very expensive sums of money. And this way Google is acting as a buyer and a seller, so on two ends of the same market, and it's actually being compared with insider trading, and this is a massive, of course, allegation towards Google. Then it goes on saying that Google, through its Google search website, is steering away traffic from its competition towards itself, and this way actually again abusing its market power for its own benefit. Finally, also one of the interesting allegations here was that Google is actually using its competitors' information. So all of the information on its websites, on its platforms, saying that it uses this to learn about its competition and then crush it with the information that they give unwillingly to Google. And of course Google again it denies all of the allegations, saying that again there are other platforms which you can advertise, and that data surely Google is learning from it, but that this is not any different from any of its competitors. So Amazon also was a super interesting case. Amazon was accused of bullying small businesses that make use of Amazon to sell its products. And Amazon was also accused of predatory acquisitions. With diapers.com, one of the most interesting cases, Amazon was actually accused of launching a similar product to diapers.com, which was a website that sold diapers to moms and pops that just got parents. So it was really like this family firm, a cozy environment, you could say, and Amazon apparently launched something similar and then cut its prices well below diaper.com's prices, and then forced diapers.com to sell itself, and otherwise it was going to crush this company. So go the allegations. And so Amazon replying to everything, also for example to the fact that Amazon is using data from its competitors that are actually on its platform. Amazon is saying that it can't promise that it hasn't used any of the data, which is of course something like ridiculous, right? How can you not know whether you've actually used data from your competitors in developing product services against them? How can you not know? Well, Jeff Bezos said that he doesn't know, he can't promise that they haven't used it, even though the company has policies about not doing this, right? Then Jeff Bezos says he can't remember bullying. He said that they often enter areas that they deem interesting, but that he cannot remember predatory practices. And then Amazon says that they don't cut off competitors from its cloud system, being Amazon Web Services, and that they actually enable everyone to equally make use of it, and gave examples such as Netflix making use of it, even though Amazon of course has Amazon Prime, its video service. And then of course Amazon said that Amazon does do price matching, but it didn't agree with the fact that Amazon cut prices below that of its competitors to force their hand in selling themselves to Amazon. Finally, one interesting thing, of course, also was Apple's grilling. So Apple was accused of bullying app developers through repeatedly and improvisationally changing its rules where it saw fit. So the rules were actually not clear and were changed on the go. Then on top of this, app developers had to pay ridiculous fees, it was said. About 30% of its income had to go to Apple in case they wanted to be on the App Store. And Apple was accused of being selective on which apps would get on the App Store, and of making use of forced labor. For example, in developing countries, it would make use of labor that was actually not in line with US law and international law about what is good conduct. And, Tim Cook responded saying that it's a free market, so developers could go to whoever they want to go, and that there's actually a heavy competition in this regard. But that's actually not true, because if you want to develop your apps for Apple products, you have to go through the App Store, right? So this is not true. Then on top of this, they said that they were not selective but objective in who is going to get on the App Store, and that they have certain rules and regulations for that. And he said that he wasn't okay with forced labor, but many books, many reports have actually shown that this is the case, and that Apple has a lot of products that have material that comes from practices that are actually not okay. So in general, all of these companies were also accused with not sufficiently safeguarding their platforms from, fake products, from fake news, from hate speech, so from all sorts of conduct that's not okay, either in their products and services or on the platform through the interaction of others on there. And of course, again, all of these parties said that they didn't allow that and that it happened, but that they actually had a lot of policies and activities to prevent that type of stuff going on. And now the question, of course, is what's going to happen? Are these companies going to be split up like the Standard Oil company? Yes or no? Everyone is curious about that. So let's see what's going to happen. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe buttons. I wish you all the best in the world and hope to see you again in future videos. Take care.